Welcome back to Truck Central. Mr. Justin Wheeler here with the 2019 Ram 1500 Limited High Mileage Edition. Today's a special occasion. We have finally eclipsed the 250,000 mile mark. Now I know a lot of people say that's not high mileage. It's relative, but for a 4.5-year-old truck, I would say that it is pretty high mileage. And being that it's the first year of the 5th gen Ram, you know, we're kind of in uncharted territory. So in today's video, we are going to do a bumper to bumper, front to back, maybe even we'll get under the bottom video, and we are going to go over every single thing. So we do a lot of these mileage updates and the big, the benchmark videos, we go a little bit more in depth. And since the last one, which was, I don't know, 190 or 200, I can't remember, we've had a few things break. More than a few things break. Before we get into the video, I do want to say thank you to Real Truck. They are the sponsor this season for Truck Central. So after the video, click their link in the description and buy yourself something nice. So really, no better place to start than right here in the grill. And God, she's messy. I didn't clean the truck before the video. I never do clean it, even before video. I want you guys to see the real, unadulterated version of the Dusty Dodge. It just wouldn't be the same if I polished it up before video and pretended that it's still like a brand new truck, because it's not. But there are some things about it that are, and there's some things about it that are worn and obviously dirty. First of all, as I've shown you guys plenty of times before, the black chrome on the grill coming off in big chunks. And this isn't recent. This has been this way. It's been doing this for a long time. So I would suspect even with a lower mileage vehicle or a newer vehicle, you may see this. So if you're looking at a 5th gen Ram and you really like the chrome or the black and chrome grill on the limiteds, just know that you're going to have some of this. Now, I camouflage that with moths and grasshoppers and butterflies and stuff, so it's not quite so obvious. They kind of blend in. And when you back up, it's really not that noticeable, but it is something to take into consideration. If you went with an all chrome grill, you wouldn't have that issue. The just normal chrome parts of it look the same as new. Similarly, the bumper is badly chipped. That's what happens when you get a paint matched bumper. This probably would have been a good spot to clean to show you exactly how bad it is, but rock chips galore. But aside from the flaking and the chipping, it's all really as good as new. Lower air dam, the sensors, tow hooks, fog lights, front camera, headlights, all are 100% functional. I haven't had to replace a lens or a bulb, and I bet these headlights are so daggum expensive. So I'm pretty fortunate and thankful for that. These have the dynamic bi-LED headlights, so not only are they super bright and super clear, and they're tied into the sensor on the, well, there's a sensor somewhere. I don't know where the magic happens, but they auto bright and auto dim. They also turn with your steering wheel, which is actually really cool and fairly functional, but I just figured eventually those little motors and the headlights would give out, but nope, they're still perfect. We've got our little bug deflector here, still good as new. It's been on here for a long time. Now, I'm only going to say this once, and it applies to every aftermarket part that we're going to go over here in this video. Link in the description. There, I'm not going to have to say it again. If you see it and it's not factory, the link's down below. The hood, yeah, it's still a hood. It didn't come off for nothing. the whole time. It does have a fair amount of hail damage. You probably can't tell it. There's probably 20 to 30 little hail dings. I seem to get caught in hailstorms pretty regularly. This truck has never seen a garage. It's always outside, and that's just what happens. So, you know, it looks fine. If it were clean, it would probably look worse. Onto the windscreen, windshield, big front window, whatever you want to call it. This is not the factory glass. The factory glass is that special acoustic glass, and it's expensive and it chips really, really easily. I took so many rock chips with the factory glass, and one ended up cracking and it split out, and we've talked about this before, but I went to replace it. I didn't want to spend the $1,500 some odd dollars for the OEM replacement, so I got the aftermarket glass, and it was way cheaper. I don't know, $1,000 maybe. I was worried that the cheaper glass would be even lower quality than the factory glass. So as soon as it got put on, when it was brand new and clean, I ceramic coated it, and I don't have a single rock chip. That was like 2 years ago. So I went from getting rock chips on a weekly basis almost. That might be an exaggeration, but a lot of rock chips. So I haven't had a single one in years. Is that coincidence? Does the ceramic coating have anything to do with it? Is the aftermarket glass better? I don't know. All I know is I'm happy with that. So if you're on the fence and you're worried about the aftermarket glass maybe not being up to par, I would say maybe it doesn't have the same acoustic properties, characteristics as the OEM glass, or maybe it does. I don't know. It doesn't seem any louder on the inside. I don't think you'll go wrong if you want to save a little money there. I don't think that's a bad discount. All right, fendering. The flares, perfect shape, no separation from the body. Everything's good there. Still running the factory 22-inch wheels. These Nitto Ridge Grapplers have over 60,000 miles on them now, and they are severely worn. The dirt on there might make it look like there's more tread than there is. These things are going to get replaced immediately. Brakes, we'll go ahead and talk about the brakes as a pair, the two fronts. We recently did a video where we did the full brake pads and rotors on the truck. We almost made it to 250,000 miles on the factory pads and rotors, which is just incredible. The front pads actually had a ton of meat left, like half of their brake pad material was still left on the front after well over 220,000 miles. Just insane. So the braking system on this truck is really, really good. I'm always loaded down, so I'm heavier than usual. I'm regularly pulling a trailer, and even with that in mind, the brakes have been really, really good. Really happy with that. Now the keen observer may notice that upper control arm and coilover is not factory. And you've probably seen by now, if you haven't, we'll leave a link to the video, but we ended up having to replace the air ride suspension, and it was mostly because of this air strut on the front driver's side. It would not keep air. It was requiring the compressor to run constantly, and I just felt like it was a little bit of a ticking time bomb. I didn't want to be stuck on bump stops 1,000 miles from home. That would have not been a fun ride. So I just did what I thought made the most sense, and we replaced the whole system, and it also gave the truck a small 2 to 3 inch lift and fixed my issues with the air ride for good. Now overall, I was very happy with the air ride. In fact, I was really sad to see it go because it worked perfectly for a really long time, but as the truck's gotten older, I figured I should simplify things while I can, and I saved a little bit of money doing the air delete kit from airdelete.com. Those guys helped us out getting the right setup and package for this truck, and I also got the lift at the same time. So it wasn't a bad deal. It was a little bit of a compromise. I lost the ability to raise and lower it with the push of a button, but now I don't even got to think about it anymore. It's just, I know that what I have is going to work, and it has been working really well. I almost forgot to pop the hood. That would have been a shame. King Tut, are you in here? No, just a 5.7 Hemi. Boy, she is dusty though. So this motor, the driveline, has been really, really good. We've done a few engine analyses, oil analyses on the motor. It's got top marks every single time, and I actually have the 250,000 mile oil in a vial ready to ship out. I'm going to get that shipped out this week, and then we'll have a new up-to-date kind of baseline for where we stand, what's wearing, any concerns to be had, what have you. So you can tell here we upgraded from the factory intake to this S&B cold air intake. It has worked really well. Ooh, I've lost a couple screws here. And my gasket ripped. No, it didn't. It just came out. Probably because I lost a couple screws. Did I forget to put those back in when I changed the filter last? Great. Okay, I'm going to have to find some screws. I'm going to have to fix that. Listen, we don't do blooper reels around here. We just roll with it. Yeah, I guess I didn't put two of the screws back in. Luckily, the gasket didn't leave the chat entirely. It was held on by this one screw. So yeah, gonna have to fix that. But it's been working great. The filters, I love them. It's probably a slight improvement in power and mileage. Mostly it looks cool. And the filter's easy to change. So, been pretty happy with that. While we're up here, I want to show you one of the biggest improvements that you can make to the ride quality of your 5th gen Ram. And it's right down here. Let me see if I can get you in on this. Come on. Where are you? There it is. Zoom. Zoom. See that little ball valve? That is the Muzzi's AC Hack Kit. She's crunchy. It's been in there for a couple years. But one of the most widely known issues, one of the most common problems with the early 5th gen Rams, and I think they fixed it in the later models, 23, 24. The AC in this thing from the factory really sucked. And so Muzzy sells this kit, and it's not much. It's like 20, 25 bucks. And essentially what you have to do is you have to, in the summertime, close that ball valve like the position it's in now, and that keeps the hot coolant out of the heater core, I think. I'm not a scientist. What I'm telling you is, when you shut that valve, you get cold AC. If you ran without that valve in the summertime, it is barely tolerable on the hot, hot days, especially in a black truck with the panoramic sunroof. Boy, Dodge really goofed up on something there. But anyway, there's a cheap and easy, quick fix for that. And, you know, it works. So knock off a couple points to Ram for that, but not a big deal. So other than that, everything under the hood is pretty factory. I think I'm on my 3rd battery. You know, they only last a couple years. I'm on the factory serpentine belt, factory alternator, factory water pump, plugs and wires. Well, the wires are original. The plugs have 150,000 miles on them. Yeah, I need to change them. I've got the 16 plugs sitting in the shop over there, but it's 16 plugs and it's still running great. So I'm going to change them soon. I've just been procrastinating. While we're under here, let's address the other big Ram, Hemi specifically, problem, and that's the tick, the Hemi tick. And there's a little bit of confusion around what the Hemi tick really is, and that's because there are two things that cause the Hemi tick. That's cam and lifter failure, which in the 4th gens, I guess, was a much more common problem. And then in the 5th gens, it's really just the exhaust manifolds cracking. So because the predecessor to this setup had cam and lifter issues, you hear the Hemi tick now, which is the exhaust manifolds that are cracking, and they all crack. People think that the hemi tick is some really terrible thing. It's really not that big a deal. I know it can't, some cases are worse than others. My first set of exhaust manifolds, I'm on the second set. The first set cracked at about 70,000 miles, and it was a pretty big crack, and it was pretty loud and obnoxious. Now, I got them replaced under warranty right before I ran out of warranty, that is, and they just put on the same factory OEM cast exhaust manifold. So you expect that they are also going to fail, and these have. Now, it's not as aggressive as the first set. It's just a light ticking, and that's mostly just on cold mornings, and it's really only for a few seconds. It engine warms up quick, that crack shrinks down as the metal expands, and then it completely goes away. So I do have the crack, I do have the tick. It doesn't bother me a ton yet. I will say, though, we do have a set of headers to put on this, and that really is the true solution to this. If you don't want your headers or your exhaust manifolds to crack, if you don't want the 5th gen hemi tick, the only real way to fix it is with a set of headers. So we're going to do a video on that soon. That's a part of the whole exhaust upgrade video we're doing, so it'll kind of interplay with that. But that is coming. That is a fix if you're worried about it. You know, not that big of a deal, but you know, it's a good excuse to get headers. Moving right along, let's jump to the power folding mirrors. I wear these things out. If you're familiar with the videos, you know my process. Every time I back into a parking spot, I lift the truck to full ride height. Well, I used to. Now it just sits at off-road 2 permanently, basically. I extend the running boards and I fold in the mirrors. That's kind of my little bubble I like to be in to prevent door dings. I still have 2, but you know, over 4.5 years, that's not terrible. I also high-fived another driver with the mirrors the other day, just whammied it, and it still works perfectly fine. So these are tough. The lights in them still work just fine. I have all the functionality. You know, they're just power mirrors, but they're tough. They've held up to a lot of use and even a little abuse. Before I open the door, the automatic locks based on the fob proximity, God, I love it. It's a little thing that you just don't realize how convenient it is. I hate touching the fob, but you have to sometimes. But obviously when the doors are locked, you walk up, you just put your hand over it and it unlocks. And if you get to where it's just one fluid movement, and it's great. Hell, while I've got the fob in my hand, let's inspect what a heavily worn fob for the Ram 1500 looks like after 4.5 years. This has a lot of seat time. You can see the kind of inlay around the lettering is chipped and flaky. Some of the soft rubber is starting to wear. In fact, well, she doesn't want to focus. Sorry about that. And it's obviously heavily discolored, but this rides around in my pocket with my pocket knife, whatever miscellaneous junk's in there. And really, it's held up fine. I think I'm on my 4th or 5th battery. Come out of there. You know, it does key stuff, but it does it great. All right. A little noisy, huh? The running boards. Can you even see that? So the running boards have been great. They're noisy, they're creaky. I don't clean the pivots very often at all. I've probably shot them down with some lubricant, I don't know, 5 times ever. And what I realized is the noise quickly comes back, but it doesn't really get any worse. It's just it's just there. And these things take a lot of this. Bouncing up and down on these things, in and out. And I'm not exactly a small guy. And they just keep on hanging in there. Now, obviously, you might not be able to tell from here. Let me get you closer. There is a lot of wear. These are supposed to be solid black, like here. But over the years, the thousands of in and outs I've had on this truck has taken its toll on it. This is just aluminum that is, I don't know if this is a powder coating or what it is, but it's a heavy, it's a heavy duty, high quality coating, but nothing's going to take the abuse that I put this truck through and look brand new forever. So this may be one of the two most kind of obvious signs of wear on the truck. The other one I'll show you here in a second. And you see here the little door sill protectors we put on, I don't know, 3 years ago. You can tell right here on this leading edge that it's darker. That's where my boots and my pant legs rub against it. I would say that without this, I would probably be down to bare metal here on the door jamb. So I think this was a good investment. When I put those on, I wasn't really sure if they would make any difference, if they would do anything. But, well, you don't know until you don't have them. So if someone else hasn't put those on and you see bare metal, that's a pretty good indicator of how well these work. Now I realize I'm showing you my disgusting, nasty floorboard. Yeah, that's what it looks like. She's covered in dust. This stays pretty clean because the arm rides right here for hours and hours every single day. All the buttons work. I've never even used these memory settings because I'm the only one that drives it. So you just leave it where you like it. But all the buttons work. All the speakers work. We'll talk about this sound system after a while. Let's check out the seat. A lot of questions about the seat. How's it holding up? Now, I had a couple 4th gen Rams before this, and this left side bottom bolster would just and go on the floor. Like it was just, you see that in every high mileage 4th gen Ram. Maybe not everyone. Everyone I drove, it just didn't hold up. And I don't know if it's different because these are leather, and a lot of the 4th gens I drove were just cloth fabric seats, more of a work truck model. But this just never hung up. Now, the leather is fading a little bit. You can tell it's got quite a bit of wear. But we've logged well over 5,000 driving hours on this truck. So this thing has had my butt in it for 5,000 hours, thousands of in and outs. And that's all the wear you see. The back portion is like brand new. Everything is in really good shape. Just ignore the dirt. And even this section right here, this is a common wear spot in vehicles because that's where the elbows get jammed in. And mine does. This spot right here still looks good. If that was polished up a little bit, I think you wouldn't even know that this truck has as many hours on it as it does. All right, so on the inside, all of the overhead controls still work like brand new. Now the rear tailgate button, the button works, the rear tailgate gets jammed up all the time. That's also another common thing. But all the buttons, everything, all the lights, the interior lights, not a single bulb in this truck has gone bad. Also, if you notice this is just a, nothing special dash cam. The real magic here is this little connector, adapter. There's a certain plug on the inside of this little rear view camera sensor housing, and it allows you to daisy chain 12-volt power from that OEM connector straight to a device, in this case dash cam. So that's pretty cool. Also, we're still running the Trinity Diablo Sport 2 tuner. Really great for making on-the-fly tuning changes, checking your check engine lights, clearing codes. That's been a really handy tool to have. Hey, quiet down. Let me shut the door. It's like brand new still. This infotainment system has never given me a single issue, and I've never updated it either. I'm probably like 12 firmware versions behind. I just have never felt the need to upgrade it. It does what it's supposed to do. I've got my navigation, I've got my phone controls, my climate controls, and my music and my cameras. And that's enough for me, I guess. Call me old-fashioned. Everything here seems to work. I will say, I found out recent. I found out recently that one of these USB-C jacks doesn't work. Now I don't. That could have been my cable, but I will say the only thing I've ever tried to use and it not do what it's supposed to do was I think this one or this one, but could have been the cable. Not a big deal either way. Wireless charger, super handy. Use the heck out of that. CD player, I use that almost every single day. Don't ask me why. All of the steering wheel controls, fantastic. Work like they should. The other really worn spot, obviously, I was alluding to, or I'd kind of previously mentioned, the steering wheel. But we did a video on this, and a lot of people think that the steering wheel leather is not actually worn. It's just dirty. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to clean it someday, I swear. Now, the dash, these leather-covered dashes, it seems like a lot of folks are having issues with them. You can see here I've got a little bit of a release going on, and I've got a little bubbling on the dash on this side. Let me get you in a little closer. See that? It feels super dry too. Oh yeah, there's a big bubble. So if I'd ever conditioned the dash or parked inside or maybe used a sun visor, that may not have happened. But really, it's not that obvious. Some people's are worse than others, but my bulges are just, about average. The glove boxes, they're glove boxes. You just put your gloves in there. What are you going to do? Passenger seat is like brand new still. And I do have some companions from now and then ride with me, but for the most part, it's just me. And all the rest of the interior truly is like brand new. Power sunroof. Well, let me go outside. We'll talk about the sunroof. Power sunroof. Use it probably 2 to 3 times a week. More so than probably most people. I know some people with sunroofs say they never open them. Ever. And I don't know why, because they're so nice. No issues at all. No leaks. I know that a lot of folks have the leaky sunroof. Not a problem here. Maybe you should use it more, my grandpappy always said, the worst thing you can do to a car is not drive it. Well, maybe the worst thing you can do to a sunroof is not use it. I don't know. I didn't mention it in the front, obviously, because it was covered in dirt and you probably couldn't tell. We have Husky floor liners throughout, so I know the carpet is like brand new underneath. These things hold up really well. The front shows very little wear, maybe because it's got that nice thick dirt coating to protect it, but regardless, way better durability than the factory floor mats, for sure. So you can see we've got the 19 speaker Harman Kardon stereo system in this. Not a fan of it, to be honest with you. It plays music, it sounds fine, and it gets fairly loud. But compared to the 4th gen 9 speaker Alpine system, it's just not as well-rounded of a sound system as I felt like as the previous version. It's fine. I've lived with it and I listen to music constantly, so it's not that big of a deal, but it's probably fixable. But anyway, I was expecting better. I was a little bit let down by the sound system. You may not be able to see, but all the ports in the back, the HVAC controls, the 110 outlet, the heated and cooled seats, front and rear, still work like brand new. Now, it's safe to say one of the Ram owner community's biggest grievances with this truck, other than the crappy AC and the cracked exhaust manifolds, is the rear window leak. It's a real problem. And I've never had any rear window leakage, but my trim is cracked. Let me show you. See here? Crack. Crack. And you can actually tell some water has gotten in here, but it must just be a tiny amount. because nothing is ever pulled. I've never actually seen a physical drop on the inside. So I know that I'm kind of maybe lucky, because a lot of people, when they see this crack, it's not long after they're seeing water inside their cab. And some are pretty extreme leaks. Luckily, I guess I've gotten away with just getting the crack and no water. So that's good. Rear slider works. I never use this. This is like, I guess this is my version of the sunroof. I never open that back glass. I don't really have a reason to. Okay, moving along. We got a fuel door. This little rubber grommet piece is starting to tear. And that is because, I think I showed you guys one time, a long time ago, the trick I have for this. So one kind of annoyance with the truck is that you can't just set the fuel nozzle to max and just leave it. It constantly trips. And so you have to have it like just partially depressed, like the lowest, slowest fuel dispensing setting. But I found out that you can put it on the fastest flowing setting, and then you turn it, and then you wedge the handle on this little nub here, and you can pump full speed. The downside to that is this rubber is taking a toll, but you know, just rubber. Now let's get to my favorite thing about this truck, probably. Yep, definitely my favorite thing about this truck. The ram boxes. Before I even take a step further, yeah, I'm aware there's warpage. There's very clearly a banana shape to my ram boxes. And you know what? The way I look at it, you'd be a little bent in the middle too if a 220 pounder was up here bouncing on you all the time. So it's just plastic, but it has lost no functionality. It's still weather tight. It still locks. The push button still works, and it still does the ram box stuff that I need it to do. So yeah, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing design flaw that Ram could have had here, but it does its thing. The 110 outlet still works. The lights. Did that bulb go out? No way. I've never pulled that out before. Let me see. Maybe it's because my truck's... Oh no, the lights still work. Get out of here. You thought something on this truck was broke? So anyway, the Ram boxes, I can't live without them. They're that good. That good. Let's take a look at the rear end here a little bit. We've got the Retrax hard rolling bed cover. Oh, I'm hooked. Well, lay down. So sorry the bed's a mess. I told you I didn't prepare for this. Obviously, whatever bed cover you go with, we've done a video on some comparisons between the different style of bed covers. We can link to that. There's pros and cons to every single bed cover out there. I really like the soft rolling cover, other than the fact that it waves like a flag going down the road. Other than that, that's probably my favorite one, in a value sense. They're fairly cheap. They do what they're supposed to do. They keep your crap dry. But these hard rolling ones are obviously a little more secure. They look a little more elegant, but this isn't a bed cover video. The lights in the rear work. The factory bed liner is in like perfect shape, and it gets abused big time. Now, my biggest complaint back here is that sometimes the tailgate won't auto open. We'll see if she does today. Oh yeah. Yeah, she's feeling good today. But sometimes it gets in a bind, especially if you're not parked on perfectly flat ground. It kind of racks the bed just ever so slightly, and then it binds up the tailgate. So not a huge deal. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Rear camera, it works like brand new. Tail lights Haven't had a single problem. These are expensive too. My gosh, I saw somebody on the Facebook group the other day talking about the cost of these rear taillights. It's an arm and a leg. Trailer, both the 7-pin and the 4-pin work perfect. Long time ago, I lost my little spare tire cover plug thing. It just broke. First time I pulled it off. So that was kind of crappy, but it is what it is. Receiver does receiver things. These are aftermarket tailpipes. We're currently running the Flowmaster Resonator Delete kit on here. So she's got a nice healthy tone to her. I guess we'll start her up for you real quick. Nope, can't. Doors are open. 1 second. Take 2. Yeah, and just wait until we get the muffler and the headers on. Ooh, she's gonna sound nice. All right, we're not gonna really dally on the passenger side. Nothing new over here. Everything is, you know, they're symmetrical, and nothing's broke on passenger or driver side that I hadn't already mentioned. So I guess we need to bring her up on the Hillbilly service bay. There's a couple other things we need to look at. All right, you get a little better look at the air ride delete kit from over here. So there are a few components that we have replaced under here in the last few months. One being this Dorman 4x4 actuator. I had lost my 4-wheel drive. I would push the button, nothing would happen. Come to find out, this little part here was all I needed. I think it's like $100, and I 4-wheel drive again. That took, I don't know, 20 minutes to install. It's just 4 bolts, a connector, bam, 4-wheel drive's back. Up there you can kind of see my starter. I did replace my starter, I don't know, 9 months ago. I don't even know if it was actually the starter. Apparently I'm not the only one who has found a loose wire on the starter when they were replacing it, and I probably could have just tightened it and tried it, but I'd already bought the starter. I was already laid up under there, so I went with it. Went with the new one, and I've had no problems. Now let's talk about this driver's side wheel bearing for a second. For the first time ever, just a few weeks ago, this truck left me stranded and my wheel bearing went out. Now it gave me some warnings. I heard that something wasn't right, but I was far from home and I was on a work trip and I just didn't stop in time. But trust me, truck stopped, left me in the middle of nowhere. Luckily, I had the tools in my truck to replace the wheel bearing, but I did have to search high and low and drive about 3 hours away. Not in the truck, obviously. I had to get a ride, go 3 hours away, found a wheel bearing, replaced it on the side of the road, and we're back in business. Now, these are not the one that failed was not the factory wheel bearing. At about 120,000 miles, I think, I replaced the OEM bearings as kind of preventative maintenance with some cheap aftermarket bearings, and they didn't hold up well. So there's that. But you can do them on the side of the road if you have all the tools. Not fun, but definitely doable. So if you start to hear a grind, I would stop and get that replaced. Now, some of you may be wondering, how's the CV boot holding up? No! First time I've seen that. That's bad. Son of a gun. I haven't had these this air delete iBox struts in very long, and they're just covered in grime. So I don't know if you guys saw the video where we had to come up with a boot repair solution, and it worked for a while. I kept an eye on it about once every month or so. Yep. Didn't last long. Gonna have to fix that. Darn it. Okay, that's just the way it goes. Let's move back here to the old trans man with his factory fluid. Can you believe it? 250,000 miles on factory fluid. Now, Mopar states that it is lifetime fluid. ZF, the transmission manufacturer, suggests that you do change your fluid. So it's a bit of a conundrum. We've talked about it already multiple times. I'm going to do a trans fluid analysis. We're going to have the lab tell us, are we in good shape? Are we in bad shape? And we'll kind of make a decision from there. As far as the front differential goes, I changed that fluid at 100,000 miles. The rear diff, I changed at 100,000 miles. The transfer case, which is hiding back here somewhere, we changed this fluid at 100,000 miles, and then we did it again at around 175, 200. I don't know, I don't remember. But it's on its third set of fluid. Probably needs to be replaced as well. But you can tell here, the frame, everything looks really, really good, minus that damn CV boot. No drips, no leaks of any kind. Suspension components, other than the new upper control arms, ball joints, and those coilovers, I know I'm probably due for some sway bar bushings, probably need to do my end links, probably need to do my tie rod ends. I'm going to do all that at once. I've just been busy, guys. Just busy. Well, guys, that's pretty much it. The Dusty Dodge made 250 and made it look pretty easy, I must say. She's a little tired, but there's a lot of life left in this old truck, and we're just going to keep on rolling. We got a little bit of maintenance to do. Exhaust manifold, spark plug, CV boot, trans fluid, transfer case fluid, differential fluid. It's not that bad. Tires. So, you know, we've got plenty. So we're going to do that, and I'm also going to take this for a full detail. I want to see what it doesn't look like dusty, because I don't remember. Before we go, I do want to say one final thank you to Real Truck, the sponsor of the season for Truck Central. Whether you need bug deflectors, mud flaps, floor mats, exhaust, intakes, you name it, they got it. Leave me a comment down below. You know I look forward to talking to you. And as always, thanks for watching.